Welcome to the Monday Morning Motivation Community. This is your space to recharge, share inspiration, and grow together with like-minded people and coaches. Every Monday, we rise stronger, ready to shift our mindset and create positive change in ourselves and others.
Well, welcome everyone. Welcome Umit as well. Welcome to our Monday morning motivation. I guess it's not the first of the year, second maybe of the year. Let me run through a bit about us first, and then I will hand over to Alysia. So we've been going for 6 years of Monday morning motivation. We've been going every Monday morning for 6 years, and our slogan is stop making excuses. Wake up early or stay up late for some of us. Good evening, and welcome everyone. In January, we have some fantastic, as always, speakers, and today we have Alysia talking about why professionals get stuck, from hamster wheels to burnout. So I'm looking forward to today. I think burnout is such a common thing, I think lots of people go through it. So what is Monday morning motivation? Here's some of our team. We host 3 webinars every Monday morning at 7 a.m. since 2019. And we have had some fantastic speakers sharing, and our Monday morning motivation community is nearly 6,000 members. That is so many members. Our vision is to create a global community and platform, igniting motivation, positivity, personal growth, starting from early Monday mornings or Sunday evenings. I guess with a global community, you can't always say it's at the same time, right? It's not always at the same time. Our mission is to deliver motivational webinars, encouraging productive habits and self-improvement. And I think our members, we have so many different members, from coaches to therapists and counselors. I really think you can definitely encourage some productive habits and access help for self-improvement too. Our purpose is to motivate members to seize the day and build a driven community of people with growth mindsets. And like I said, we stop making excuses. We get up, we come here, we learn some things, we grow as people, as humans, as a community. And our core values are positivity, open-mindedness, discipline, family. We have a safe zone here, and we have purpose. Here are some of the Monday morning motivation team. Wonderful. And most of our recordings, not all of them, most of them are on YouTube. And if you would like to find those, you can find us at Motivate Community on YouTube. Or you can add us on many of our other social media sites. You can add us on our LinkedIn or our Instagram, WeChat. What is this one? Telegram, right? Come add us and join in, be a part of our Monday morning motivation community. And Alysia, you're posting your like how to contact you, social media on your PowerPoint, right? Fantastic. So would you like me to introduce you, or would you like to introduce yourself?
With whatever works for you. I'm good.
Both are okay with me. I'll let you introduce yourself. You know more about you than I do. I know what's on here and what we've spoken about before the session. So I'll let you introduce yourself.
Okay.
But I'm so looking forward to this workshop. And off you go. Over to you.
Welcome, everybody. It's so beautiful to see so many familiar faces today, and also to the new people who are on here. Thank you so much. I know for a lot of us, we're in different time zones. So one thing I would love to see right now is if you could put in the chat, where are you joining us from? Because I always love to know where you're coming from. Where are you in the world? I know we are definitely global because I am joining today. I normally live in Shanghai for 11 years, but I am in the USA on the East Coast near New York City right now. So 6 p.m. here, right? Yeah. So go ahead and you can type it in. We've got Tianjin. Yeah. Where are you kind of joining us from? Be great to see that. And I know we've got some Shanghai in the house. I already see some of people from Shanghai are there. Jamaica, look at this. How many continents are we going to get in here today? Oh, going to be in the US soon, Nan. I think we're going to have a chat, huh? Have to have a chat. That's cool. Awesome. Well, it's so nice to see you. So when people were saying, hey, you should do another MMM, this I believe is my third or fourth. I think it's at least my third. Oh, Wuhan's in the house. And they said, well, what do you want to talk about? And right now, I'm working with a lot of clients, and I've had a flexible career community for a while, and there's some themes that I see happening. And so when I see things that people need, that's usually what drives my creation of programs. And right now, what I'm seeing is this. I see people who are on what we call hamster wheels, which I will explain. And I see a lot of burnout. Some of them is just kind of burnout behaviors, and some people are getting full burnouts and they don't even know it. If this is happening to you, you're not broken. You're just running inside a system that no longer fits, right? Now, the hamster wheel looks a lot like movement, but it doesn't create progress. And to give you some ideas on this, uh, I have been through several burnouts, and a couple of them I didn't know I had until after the fact. Right? If you have a full burnout, you're probably going to feel like you can't hardly get out of bed. It feels a lot like depression, to be honest with you. And sometimes there's some correlations there. But a burnout is like you are overwhelmed and anxious to the point where you feel like it's hard for you to function. Your brain is getting foggy, right? And things like that. This is something that happens a lot. Now, a lot of professionals are doing a lot of work. They're busy, they're hardworking, they're capable, they're intelligent, they're responsible, but they're still stuck. And one of the things I wanted to share with you is I feel that this is what's happening a lot with the expats right now. That is something very, very big that is happening to them. I come from a place, there we go. And you can all see this slide, right? Just making sure. All right. So I know about this mainly because I have been through a lot of different changes and shifts in my life. I had an arts background. I taught art education. I have a degree in psychology. I was a creative entrepreneur in the US. Then I came to China. I actually went to Korea and then China. I've been in Shanghai for 11 years. I'm also a scholar on creativity and a thought leader on entrepreneur, especially flexible work and AI at this point. So I'm also an AI strategist now. So that's something else that I've been doing. And I'll talk about that in here because it kind of all comes together. I currently have two companies, well, technically three, but two that are active. One is in China and one is here. They're basically online for the most part, and I have a lot of strategic partnerships. The reason I tell you this is because if you hear all of this, the first thing you might be asking yourself is, how do you manage that without burning out? And I'm here to tell you that I'm going to talk to you about some of the ways that you can get past that. Because I think a lot of people don't understand that they can do more and be more efficient and be productive, but not the kind of I call it toxic productivity. This toxic, like we have to do everything, we have to be everything to everybody, and we don't even care about ourselves. And I've done it. I have literally worked 20-hour days for like a year straight when I was going through transitions with the COVID lockdown. I have I have worked so hard on the screen that my eyes have gone blurry and I had to go to bed because I could not see. I have had times where I was so exhausted, I felt like I couldn't do anything, and this is something I've talked about a little bit in my shows because I like to be full on transparent, but I haven't talked about how I've found my way out of it. And that's what today is. So the hamster wheel, right, is where you feel like you are constantly, constantly going over and over and doing the same things and not getting anywhere, right? And again, you look at this picture. This person is running. She's working as hard as she can, but you're stuck. A lot of times, we don't choose this, it happens. For me, when I went into full-time entrepreneurship life, I got onto the hamster wheel, right? And this is what had got me there. I said yes more than I should have. I was rewarded for the busy identity and for the identity of being somebody who did all of these things. And because of that, I also was able to use the busyness to avoid doing some of the things that I should have been doing. Again, I'm going to break this down for you guys. And what I want you to think about is, is any of this resonating with you? You can always put it in the chat and say, even if you're like, oh my gosh, this is me, or sounds familiar, you can put it in the chat at any time, because we're all in this together. And one of the things I wanted to do today was to let you guys know that this is very normal. And I am starting a podcast actually this month, because I want to start talking about the tough stuff that nobody's talking about. And this is true. So first of all, high performers say yes more than they even realize. And most of this is because if you're really good at what you're doing, people rely on you, right? There is a whole thing, it's called there's a competency thing, where people, when you're competent, you get more responsibility. Over time, these yeses accumulate. So you say yes to something, and then you get really good at doing it, and you just keep doing it. And then you say yes to something else, and you keep doing it, and you say yes to something else. And then all of a sudden, you're in charge of like 20 different things that you're doing, and you don't even remember when you said yes to these things, because you've just gotten into it and you're just used to it. And then the expectations quietly increase because, right? The universe gets crazy, budgets get cut, more workload you have to do. So now all of these little things you have layered on, even though you were really great at them, they have to shift, sometimes at the same time. And then now you're doing more and more. And all of the sudden, your performance stack is what I'm going to call it. Now that thing is huge. And your workload is growing and you're not renegotiating. Especially, honestly, if you're a woman, statistics show we're not negotiating nearly enough, right? And I've seen this with the women that I work with. So it doesn't mean that we're bad at boundaries. It means that we're so competent and good at handling things that we take on too much. And it's surprising how little you need to do to focus, right? It's amazing, because when you're not focused, you start saying yes to all of these things as well. So we're going to talk about what causes all of these things. The second thing that causes this, renegotiate, question in the chat is, what is renegotiation? It means, like, if I sign up and say, hey, I'll be a person who's in charge of the community of this organization, and then slowly over time, the role gets bigger and bigger, I never renegotiate to either have help with it or to do less or anything. So the expectations rise, but my reward, the reciprocity, doesn't, because I haven't negotiated. Also, renegotiating salaries, or if you have, a lot of us are freelancers, renegotiating our like, I try to renegotiate almost every year with all the people that I work with. I need to be getting at least 5 to 10% raise almost every year. And sometimes we don't do that. And that also means that we're doing more duties, more work, less money, or less reciprocity, right? Or also negotiating, well, if I'm doing this, this, and this, can I still do this, this, and this? So it's also negotiating with ourselves what we should and shouldn't be doing, okay? Now, the identity rewards here, right, are, people will say you're reliable, you're an expert, you're stable. And these are all really positive things. But if you take those as your identity, right, then it's risky to change, because you've not only taken them as adjectives, you've taken them as an actual part of who you are. And that is much harder to change. So then it becomes a habit, a very ingrained habit, to be a perfectionist and an overachiever, which I've gone through the positive psychology program. I've had both of those, right? Yes. So the success starts to lock in this identity of being this overachiever. And then we start getting stuck into more and more things. This is when the busyness becomes identity. I will never forget my wake up call on this. It was, I think, probably about 2.5, 3 years ago. And I talked to one of my good friends and I said, "Hey, I haven't hung out with you in a while and you haven't asked me to go do anything." And they said, "Well, Alysia, for the last 8 months, you've been so busy, you always said no. So we just figured we were bothering you and we didn't want to keep asking you and bothering you." I went home that summer and changed everything around. I cut out like 25% of the things I was doing in business, and I pared it down. And basically, every holiday, I actually cut more stuff out. So even this holiday, after this holiday, there's some things that are getting changed, right? And this happens, yes, this is not just professional, it's also personal life, but wanted to say this. Very true. Yep, mission creep. Yep. So being busy means that you can avoid uncomfortable questions. Nobody asks you those deep questions when you're so busy and getting everything done. It can delay your big decisions. It can protect you from uncertainty because you're very certain that what you're doing well. It helps you delay things that you fear. So there's a lot of things that I have feared even now in my career that I haven't launched yet because I was so busy on the hamster wheel I couldn't do it. And part of that was psychological. You're either afraid of success because you're afraid you'll be overwhelmed with success, or you're afraid of failure. And so you get busy to try to avoid that. Is any of this resonating with you guys? Because the running and the busyness feels safer because you know you're good at it than to just kind of pause and go for something different. Yeah, exactly. Distraction from what you don't want to face. Yep, you throw yourself in your work. Yes, for sure. Okay. So this is how the wheel turns into burnout, right? Yeah, you're lost. Very good point. That we're going to get to that. That's great. Now, this is the thing about burnout is it doesn't happen just all of a sudden. It builds when your effort continues, but you're not clear, like you're lost, right? You don't feel like there's meaning or you don't feel like you're empowered anymore. So over time, you start to feel like you're not running the hamster wheel is running you. And what happens, let's face it, you all, I don't know if you've all been on a treadmill, hopefully you have. Have you ever been on a treadmill and then you decide to stop? What happens when you just stop on a treadmill? You totally fall off that thing. I've totally done that, right? And you face plant and it's ugly, right? Well, this is the same thing that happens when we get on these hamster wheels because we just keep going and we're afraid because if we don't slow it down, if we don't see it, we're afraid to just jump off because we're afraid it's going to be a really nasty landing, right? Exactly. I'm seeing that. Yep. And so when you're doing this, a lot of times I see somebody said, people seeing and value and respect your work. When you overgive and you overachieve, they just won't. Even if they're good people, even if they care about you, they just don't. That for a while, I was doing tons of stuff for free, and I've pulled back the amount of free things that I do. So now I have a quota of free talks that I'm giving every month, and that's it. For my platform, I do once a month, right? And for other platforms, I'm only doing usually 2 a month, so that I'm giving no more than 3 free talks, 3 free hours a month, because it's worth a lot. So now once you get this burnout, it starts to show up, and here's what happens. The first thing is you get cognitive overload. Your brain, everybody has different levels for this depending on your tolerance, and you can build this. But again, you have a certain cup of amount of stuff that your brain can process at one time, just like your computer. Your computer has something called RAM, random access memory. If you don't have enough memory, you can't have a million things open at the same time or your computer crashes. Your brain is the same way, right? And if you are constantly tracking details, always anticipating problems, mentally preparing. It's like your brain is always working and it never shuts down. Now, I don't know how many of you guys have computers or how much of you guys do this, but what happens if your phone or your device or any device is on 24/7 and you never turn it off? It starts acting weird and it crashes. And then what's the first thing they tell you to do? Turn it off, right? And let it, right? But this is the same thing we're doing to our brains. And a lot of us aren't even taking time because we're not even getting good sleep to do that. And then even our downtime is filled with thinking. And this isn't tiredness. This is where we get to overload. Now, the next thing is emotional labor. And this is a sneaky one that not a lot of people talk about. It's not just managing the things you do, it's how you do them. It's managing expectations, boundaries, tensions, people's reactions, unspoken responsibilities. This is the invisible emotional work, and it is very, very taxing for people, right? And this is something that I think a lot of people are not talking about, but it's happening. And it's getting worse because, to be honest, with the economy and everything happening in the world, we have a lot more stress. So we have a lot more emotional labor we're doing to process all of that and process that in our jobs, right? Yep. And you don't want to disappoint everybody, so you take things on. Very good point, Gurm. Exactly. And then lastly, I mean, there's a lot more than this, but these are the three main ones I wanted to focus on today. Decision fatigue, right? You have, right? We have so many choices now, right? We have AI, we have Google, we have everything. Well, I'm sorry, Baidu, right? If you're in China. So we've got so many different choices, and we have to figure out our priorities, our trade-offs. We have to figure out how we're going to respond to so many things happening to us and around us. And we have to figure out our next steps and our goals. So when our decisions never end, when we can never stop because there's always something else that we have to figure out, that's when your brain again is overwhelmed and it's not having any pause. And so you stop deciding and you just react because you literally don't feel like you have the energy to make a thoughtful decision. So you just let your monkey brain, like your base brain, just react. So you go from proactive to reactive. And I will say that this happens in teams and businesses too. This is not just people, right? Yes, I've seen some people. Yes, exactly, Sam. Even small choices, when you have tons of choices, that happens. And then the last thing is loss of agency, right? This is probably, I think, one of the most important. And this is what put me over the edge. When I felt like I was losing the ability to choose what I wanted to do in my career and where I wanted to go and how I wanted to work, that's when I was like, I'm done. I spent 25 years as an art educator. I was award winning, and I just had to walk away from it because I felt like the work was controlling me. I felt like I couldn't control my calendar, and the way I spent my energy was decided by somebody else. And teachers, I know we have some teachers in the house. It's even worse because you're a teacher and they always give you the excuse, we'll do it for the kids. They guilt you into feeling like you should go over your boundaries and everything, and it's also because they're usually underfunded, right? Or they don't have enough staff to do what they need to do. And so I understand the dilemma, but I feel like they take it out a lot on the teachers. So burnout is the moment you realize that you've lost ownership of your direction, and that's why you're lost, which is what Gregory had put in there before, right? So here's what the real problem is. The real problem is that it's a much deeper issue than just managing your time or boosting your motivation. And we're here for Monday Morning Motivation. The problem is deeper. It's about gaining ownership of your direction again, right? So the root cause is discipline and a loss of autonomy, usually because we're so overwhelmed that we just give it away. We just go to reaction. The surface issues, that the way you can see it, again, it's like you have the disease is the discipline, the loss of autonomy. The symptom is time management and lack of motivation. This is why a lot of people are quietly quitting. It's a huge problem globally, right? Millions, right? So what's actually missing are these three things: clear purpose, clear goals, and efficient processes and systems. And all three are equally important. And if you're missing any one of these puzzle pieces, everything falls apart. And I know because this has happened with me, right? And effort multiplies if you don't have these. And so if you don't have any of those three, then you are on a very fast hamster wheel. And this is what I've come up with. This is how I feel like it happens. You have a lack of purpose. You have not decided what you want to give to the world as a human being in your lifetime. And so your identity gets misaligned. You build up this thing of who you are, but no basis as to why you are who you are. And then that leads to a lack of aligned goals because you don't even know what you're trying to do. So then when you don't have a goal, it's like driving a car with a GPS, but not putting in an endpoint because you don't know where you're going. Well, of course, GPS is going to be like, I can't even take you anywhere. You got to put in a location. Then you're always trying to decide where to go because you don't even know where you're getting to. You can't even find the best route to your goal because you don't have a good one. And then you start to get decision fatigue. And then once you start doing that, because you keep going all over the place, you don't have good systems because you don't have the energy to even form a system. That leads to overwhelm, which creates the burnout, which creates the hamster wheel, and repeat. And this is the cycle. If anybody feels like they know what this is and this resonates, just put a Y in the chat, right? When this happens, you'll feel like you're living inside an outdated identity. You'll feel like you're chasing goals that no longer fit, and you're running systems that designed for a past version of you, not who you are now and not who you want to be. No amount of hustle fixes misalignment because if it did, I would already be a millionaire. I'm telling you that right now. I am behind the game because I did not do this early enough. So here's how you get off of it because I finally got off of this. Stepping off of this doesn't mean you have to quit your job or your life or your brand. Most of the people who are telling people to just quit your job and start your own business, and I help people do this, but most of the people who tell you to do this, a lot of them are just trying to get your money so you pay them to depend on them to get your business started. I don't like to do that. What it means is you got to look at who you are and what you want and redesign how you want to think and decide and act with intention. Take back the control. Take back your steering the wheel. So the first thing you need is a clarity of purpose, your ikigai. You got to know what matters to you, what you're good at, what gives you meaning, and what sustains you. Once you do this, it becomes your compass. Everything, every decision matches to this. And if it doesn't, you can let it go. So then you have less friction about deciding things. Second, and this is the thing that I am working on, and it's much better now. Habit, systems, and support. Okay? I have really great willpower. But if I don't have the habits that keep me focused or the systems that help me, then I'm constantly reinventing my own wheel and I'm on the hamster wheel. AI has allowed me to be able to create systems and automations and things inside my business and my life that have helped me to reduce decision fatigue and all of these different things. And so it supports my clarity and supports the quality of what I do, right? This is one of the most important things. You need a process or a system. Anything that you have to do more than twice on a regular basis, you should have a system. I want you to start thinking. That's a total reframe in your brain. So these are the things that will help you to get your process, your system, and your sense of purpose. So if you're resonating with this, this is exactly what I do with professionals and businesses all the time. I help them to figure out when they're at the crossroads what they want to do. You do not have to keep working so hard, right? And it's not just working smarter. So I want you to, I know people say don't work hard, work smart, right? No, you want to work strategically. It's different. It's not just smart, it's strategically towards your focus, towards your why, and then you'll be fine. It will get better. So if any of you want to do this, there's lots that can help you. And I'm putting this up for me, but there's a lot of other people that you can do this with. Search out courses, search out trainings, right? AI is really huge and it really can help you. Look for communities. You have MMM already. Take advantage of that. You can get one-on-one coaching. Sam's here. She does psychology. If you've got real dysfunction, you can even go out and talk to a psychologist if you've got a major sticking point on any of these. And if you have a company that you're working with, they might even do professional development on this. These are all things that can help you to get where you need to go.